A lot of people have argued in my last podcast that the problem of housing deficit or housing crisis that we have in Lagos is due to the fact that most people have chosen Lagos to be their own preferred city to stay around the world. A lot of people have also argued that government have also contributed greatly to this problem. But on today's episode, we're going to look at the major causes of housing deficits and what we need to do as citizens. Welcome to today's episode of Property Matters. Do also subscribe, and I'll see you immediately after the short timeout. Don't go nowhere.
Indicate that nice.
So the issue basically is that why is the problem of housing crisis? In fact, a lot of people actually told me in my last podcast that I should not streamline my conversation to just Lagos, because Lagos is not the only city we have in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That the problem of housing crisis is a general problem. But let's look at it from the holistic point of view. Like we always do, let's check the statistics. In the previous episode, I gave the housing deficit of Lagos to be around 17.3 million. And someone called me and said, my brother, that report you gave was in 2022. That presently right now, housing deficit in Lagos is close to almost 18 million. But I went further to do my own due diligence, and I found out that Nigerian housing deficit is around 28 million, according to the report that was released, by the Central Bank of Nigeria. And it's quite sad because many people does not seem to understand what could be the root cause of these circumstances and these challenges. And as concerned citizen, not just a real estate practitioner, I want us to look at some of the prevailing matters and what can be done, to at least cushion that housing deficit to a reasonable, number, so that people will not be out of their homes. But what exactly is the situation now? We know basically that landlords increase their rent at 100% every year. And people who are also coming into the real estate business are not just coming in simply because they are actively or totally, interested in solving the problem of housing deficit. Many people are in the industry just to make money. So the question basically is, how then can we now solve the problem of housing crisis in Nigeria as a whole? Now, the first thing you need to understand basically is that when we talk about housing deficit, we need to look at what exactly are the prevailing causes, and I'm going to highlight some of them. There are several, but because of my time, I'll highlight some. Now, the first reason why the issue of housing deficit or housing crisis in Lagos, Nigeria, seems to be an endemic cause is in the area of inflation. Basically, there was this video of a concerned citizen who was actually, giving his own opinion about what he termed to be an overpriced property. Citing an example, kudos to him. At least he has been able to call the attention of some real estate developers to deliver more value than what they are producing. But that obviously is not. Let's look at the cost of inflation, and as long as inflation is a matter, I would say that inflation is one of the root causes of increasing house rents and of course contributing largely to housing deficits. Now, looking at that, when you look at the cost of construction, the cost of labor, the cost of infrastructure, you will agree with me that decent housing, it's gradually slipping away from the hands of the middle class and of course the poor, simply because of the fact that the cost of construction is not funny. How do we explain a scenario where the wages of low workers, who is mostly referred to, or who are mostly referred to as laborers, has increased from 3,000 naira per day to, in some places, 7,000 naira per day, in other places 10,000 naira per day? Now when we open up to the issue of inflation, you will also agree with me that iron rod, okay, that used to sell for 450, 500, 800, presently is selling for 1.1, 1.2. And not to talk of the cost of electrification, the cost of, real estate, buying the land, and other hidden expenses, most times that does not, appear from in the cost of production. So we need to look at inflation. If the problem of inflation is not adequately addressed, okay, housing deficit or housing crisis will continue to even grow from bad to worse. Let's also talk about another factor that contribute grossly to housing deficits, and another factor basically is in the area of demand. Like I said at the commencement of this video, I've said it before, that Lagos basically is the preferred city, because when you look at the likes of Alaba International, when you look at the likes of Computer Village, when you look at the likes of Arena, Oshodi, you will agree with me that the major businesses are situated in Lagos. And for easy transportation and of course for convenience, people definitely will have to pitch their tents and of course their residents in Lagos. And this obviously has fuel demand, and basically the higher the demand, the higher the cost of rent. Now the situation has even gone to a point basically that in a situation where you are looking for a house, an agent can take 5 to 6 or sometimes 10 people to a particular apartment, and the person that gets the apartment is the person that pays all the fees. And this is the reason why when we look at what our local agents are doing, they are charging 10% for agency, they are charging 10% for agreement, they are charging 10% to commissions. These basically are part of the factors that has made housing a luxury in Lagos, because some of these costs, okay, once they are factored, they also increase the prices of rent, and of course the prices of when we talk about rent, and of course the prices of other facilities that has to do with accommodation in Lagos. In addition to this, I've seen instances whereby even landlords, okay, are also charging caution fee, and what is being charged as caution fee sometimes to me is not reasonable. And these are some, okay, of the causes where we have the problem of housing deficit. And if all these things are not properly adequately catered for or taken care of, okay, they will be increased rents in the Lagos State real estate market. Also, another factor that has also contributed greatly to housing deficit in Nigeria is the area of poor funding for real estate developers. Now let's talk about the area of fund. Now that because of the fact that the cost of construction has increased beyond every possible imagination, a lot of real estate developers are, of course, the diligent and the consistent ones, are trying as much as they can, okay, to stay in business and of course provide affordable housing. But they have been having several challenges. Now when you go to commercial banks to seek for loans, commercial banks give loans at an interest rate of 30%, and this basically has put pressure not just on tenants and every individual looking for accommodation in Nigeria. It has also put immense pressure, okay, on the real estate developers that are producing or constructing these houses. And sometimes I've seen instances whereby a lot of clients, a lot of investors have said into the middle of a transaction, like they bought a property from a real estate developer, and 2 months into the purchase or 3 months into the purchase, they got an email that the real estate developer has called for a price review. And in situations whereby investors are unwilling to agree to the terms of the present price review, an email is being sent to them that their money will be refunded at an estimated cost of 30% administrative fees. In as much as fact that this doesn't sound right, but sometimes when we look at some of the factors that are being contributing to this, basically most of these developers are collecting money, loans from real estate trust funds. Some are collecting loans from mortgage banks. Some are collecting loans from microfinance and other things. And these loans comes at a 30% interest rate, which is very, very crazy. And that is why some real estate developers will not go into an off-plan project to do a 1-year payment plan, because of the fact that the interest they need to pay, at the expense of what this thing is being done, is very, very high, and they're trying as much as they can, to keep to the terms of the loan, else it becomes a problem. So funding has become a major issue, and to even capital, or there are other investments that notable Nigerians that can even provide loans for all these real estate developers. There's this maintenance of real estate cashback right now. I call it a maintenance because since this cashback thing have started, private individuals or billionaires that can contribute into the real estate sector by providing affordable loans prefer to put their money in all this real estate cashback, because these guys are promising 50% return on investment. Some are promising 40% of the investment. So they look at it in a situation whereby I have an investment that can give me 50%, that can give me 30%, that can give me 40%. Why do I have to now put my money in a business whereby maybe my return is maybe 10 or 20%? So obviously private individuals are also contributing actively to this. So when developers don't have access to loan, there is limited construction of houses, and for you to do the right thing in Lagos, it costs a lot of money, because you have to approach the government for building approval. The cost of land is very, very important, and one of the regulations and policies that the Lagos state government is putting right now in securing a building approval is that your land title must be properly done now. So gone are those days that if you have excision, you can go ahead with the building approval. They will ask you, it has to be gazetted or it has to have C of O before you can proceed. So all these fundamentals obviously are to safeguard the interest and of course provide safety, but they also come at a cost. So these are some of the contributing factors that is increasing housing deficit. So if we don't address the issue of inflation, if you don't address the issue of increasing demand, if you don't address the issue of poor funding and finance, and basically for also another problem that has also contributed immensely to housing deficit in Lagos is poor participation of government. Now kudos to the Lagos state government. I've driven around past some place of Lagos. I've gone to the Maitul area, I've gone to the Yanopaja axis, I've gone to the to the Agboju side, I've been to Second Rainbow, I've been to some parts like the Yanopaja, and I see that the Lagos state government is also providing affordable houses, providing mortgage. But the truth basically is that some of these projects are not still accessible because of some strict conditions for purchase. And there was also another one that came out during the era of the past governor, and they said that housing project is basically for civil servants, those who work in Lagos. So until we begin to have more participation of government also providing low-cost housing estates, the problem of housing deficits will also become an issue if it is not totally addressed. So let's look at of course, I did an evaluation and I gave a statistical figure of what is being charged in rent on some part of the mainland. So I'll be doing for the island. So I've talked about Aja. So let's quickly look at house rent that is currently being charged in the Shangotedo axis, the Abijo axis, and other part of the Bejuleki. In Shangotedo, as at 2018, a 2-bedroom apartment was being rented for 1,000,000, basically right now. If you're looking at the axis of the ShopRite area of Shangotedo, if you're looking at the Obview aspect of, if you look at other gated estates in Shangotedo, a standard 2-bedroom apartment plus agents plus agreement plus commission presently right now is being rented from 2.5 million and above. Like if you are staying in the choiced area of Shangotedo, in some places they also charged 3 million, and as at 2018-2019 it was between 1.2 1.1 total package, but right now it has increased. So when you look at other parts of Shangotedo, of course I gave an estimation of old house and new house. Now if you're looking for a old house in the Songotedo axis, you must have between 800-900,000 for a standard 2-bedroom apartment. Of course, that's for couples. Then if you're looking at let's say the room and parlor self-contained, then before in 2018 it used to be 700,000, 800,000. Right now is a little bit above 1.5 million total package. That is if you're staying in the choice area of Shong. So let's quickly go to Abidjan. Abidjan right now, a single room and parlor, self-contained, as of 2018 was being rented for 1.1, 1.2. Presently right now is 1.5. That's just the reality. So in some areas of Abidjan and Songotedo, the house rent are kind of similar, but the distance are a little bit different. So if you are looking at 2-bedroom apartment right now in Abidjan, presently you must have 2.1, 2.2 million naira all inclusive for you to get a standard 2-bedroom apartment. Then of course, if you want a 3-bedroom apartment in Abidjan presently right now is above 1.5 million annually. So let's look at the Awoyaya axis. Awoyaya axis, it's almost the same, but a room and parlor present right now, if it's an old house in Awoyaya axis, is between 800 to 900,000 all inclusive. But if you're looking for a new apartment, it's between 1.1 and 1.2 also in the Awoyaya axis. And if you're looking for a 2-bedroom apartment, okay, in the Awoyaya axis, if you're looking for an old house, it's between 700, 600. But if you're looking for a new house, a 2-bedroom new house, it's above 2 million upward. That is inclusive of the agency, the agreement, the agreement, and of course the caution fee. And of course the statistics I'm dropping basically right now is subject to change, okay, and of course it's dependent on location. So if you're going towards the Bodije axis, the Onosa axis, it's still a little bit fair. You can get a room and parlor self-contained for 500, 600,000. If it's a 2-bedroom apartment, it's between 900 and 1 million. Also in the Bodije axis. So basically these, okay, are the basic requirements or the basic rent that is being charged. Now there is an estimation that the situation will go far. So in conclusion, don't wait until Lagos becomes totally unaffordable for you. The situation basically right now might not change anytime soon, and if it must change, I don't see government regulating some of these things as people have clamored for. Just like His Excellency Senator Ned Nwoko said in one of his podcasts, he said that if you don't buy Lagos now, you may not be able to afford Lagos in the future. Now, the statistics, the indices, the demand and everything is pointing all these statements to be true. And regardless of where the property is, in as much as fact that your investment follows the fundamentals, having a good title, having a building approval, in as much as fact that projects adhere to this title or to this regulation that has been set by Lagos state government. My brothers and sisters in the diaspora, whether you like Nigeria or not, whether you actually hate Lagos or not, it's not the issue. The issue basically is that the demand right now cannot meet the existing properties. So that means the demand outweighs the available properties. And in 5-10 years from today, I see Lagos becoming very, very expensive. And despite the fact that it becomes very, very expensive, people will still fight themselves to stay in Lagos because of the economic and other activities that Lagos has to offer. So this is where I'm going to draw to this curtain of property matters. I hope you have found value. In case you want to invest in any properties in Lagos, you need counseling, you need professional advice, you need property verification, you need our service, you need lawyers to do the necessary work. We are the best person to be talking to. See you in my next video. Bye for now. God bless you.